Hello students, welcome to today's class. Our objective today is synthetic fibers and plastics. Various fabrics what we use every day are made up of two types of fibers. They are natural fibers and artificial fibers. Examples of natural fibers are cotton and silk. Examples of artificial fibers are rayon, nylon, etc. These artificial fibers actually are called as synthetic fibers, my dear students. Actually, synthetic fibers are made up of some chain-like structures. What are these chain-like structures means? Every synthetic fiber is actually made up of some small units joined together. These small units are called as monomers. When these monomers join together, they form large units. These large units are called as polymers. Dear students, these synthetic fibers actually are made from the chemicals derived from petroleum. That is why we can say that they are made from petrochemicals. First of all, how can we identify a kind of fiber? For this, a kind of small test will be conducted that is called as burning test. Suppose if you take the yarn of the fiber and burn it in a flame, if the burning yarn is smelling like a burning hay, then it will be definitely either wool or silk. Or if the yarn is smelling like a burning paper, it is either cotton or rayon. Instead of these two, if the yarn melts in the flame, then the fabric is made up of either nylon or acrylic. So we can say clearly that nylon is nothing but a synthetic fiber, my dear students. Remember. And what is this nylon first of all? Nylon is a synthetic fiber. Generally it is the first fully processed synthetic fiber actually. Nylon is made from coal, water and air. These are the source materials for the preparation of nylon. Actually, it became popular during the World War II. Nowadays, nylon replaced the natural silk in most of the hosieries, actually. So, what are present in nylon? Nylon actually is composed of polyamides, my dear students. The polyamides are actually made with some monomer units. Along with the monomer units, hexamethylene diamine is a chemical. Along with these two, adipic acid is also used. So, these polyamides which are present in the nylon are made up of monomer units along with hexamethylene diamine and adipic acid. The quality of nylon is that it is very strong and it is elastic and it is light in weight actually. Okay. When all these things, that is monomer units as well as hexamethylene diamine and adipic acid are intermixed, solid chips will be formed, and these solid chips of polyamides formed will be molten condition, will be turned up into the molten condition, and that melted solid chips of polyamides are made to pass through a spinner net, and when they pass through the spinner net, Gelid spinner net, we get some fine threads made up of the nylon. And the second one is uses of nylon. Actually, so many items what we use in our day-to-day life are made up of nylon itself. The ropes what we use for climbing and fishing nets, saris, tents, as well as toothbrush bristles and curtains, bags, sleeping bags, etc. So many utilities are there with nylon itself. All these items what I told right now are made up of nylon, my dear students. And the next thing is about rayon. Before I explain about rayon, let me tell you few more important things about nylon. Nylon is used in making carpets also, and in the making of parachutes we use nylon, and rock climbers also they use some ropes, strong ropes. These ropes are made up of nylon itself. Whereas sheer hosiery and umbrella cloths, swimsuit wear, various kind of dress materials are made up of nylon itself, students. Nylon is very strong rather than cotton, rather than wool, and rather than silk also. Nylon is very strong and it can hold some heavy loads also compared to cotton, wool, and silk. It has the ability to bear much weight. For this, a small activity is also given in your textbook. I hope you will read that. And the next one is rayon. Students, rayon is actually called as artificial silk. Usually fabrics that are made from the silk are very costly, sir. So it's not possible to provide the whole necessary silk for all the human beings, because natural silk is very costly. That is why artificial silk is made in USA in 1911. That artificial silk was named as rayon afterwards in 1924. In India also, the first rayon factory was established in Kerala in 1946. Rayon actually is called as a cellulose fiber, students, because the source material for the rayon making is wood pulp, which contains cellulose. How this rayon is made? From the bamboo pulp, the cellulose is taken, and that cellulose is treated with sodium hydroxide, and then it is treated with CS2, carbon disulfide. Our cellulose dissolves in these chemicals, and after getting dissolved, the cellulose forms a kind of a syrup which is called as viscose. And this syrup viscose is forced through a spinner net, and through the spinner net it is forced into a solution of dilute H2SO4. I repeat, the so-called cellulose fiber is cellulose is treated with NaOH, sodium hydroxide, and then with carbon disulfide. Cellulose dissolves in these chemicals and forms a syrup which is called viscose. Viscose is forced through the spinner net into the solution of dilute sulfuric acid. And then a silk-like threads will be formed, and these silk-like threads are cleaned with soap, and then they will be dried. The so-called dried new fiber is called as rayon. Rayon actually is used in so many places of our day-to-day life. It is actually a fabric which looks like silk, but it is cheaper than silk. It is used to make bed sheets, and in making carpets also rayon will be mixed with wool, and it is used in making carpets. And rayon is often used in home furnishings actually. So it is used in sanitation products also, my dear students, and in making diapers also. Rayon is the perfect fiber to prepare all fabrics actually, because it is made from the plant cellulose. That is why it is a preferable one. Rayon absorbs water more easily actually, but the problem is that after absorbing much water, rayon becomes weak, and the fibers may be broken easily. That is the problem with rayon. And here the point of blending comes. What is the meaning of blending? To get a much effective fiber, when a synthetic fiber is made to be combined with two or more other fibers, that process of mixing of a synthetic fiber with two or more other fibers is called as blending. And in blending, for example, when you mix cotton and polyester, fact is that cotton is a natural fiber, polyester is synthetic one. Actually, cotton has its own utility, polyester has its own plus point. Fact is that cotton gives us much comfort actually. It absorbs much water. And the ability of polyester is that it is actually wrinkle free. So when you mix cotton and polyester and make a kind of fabric which is a combination of cotton and polyester, that will give highly comfortable feeling as well as a wrinkle free fabric. That is why blending is very highly suggested in order to get more comfort as well as some other additional features also, because the features of both the fibers will be adopted in blending actually. So in blending process, if the percentage of natural fiber is more, then automatically we feel more comfort while wearing that fabric actually. So more the percentage of natural fiber, more will be the comfort to the skin. That's it. And the next is about acrylic. What is the meaning of acrylic? Actually, pure wool, that means natural wool, is very costly, and it is somewhat in limited quantity for us in availability. So to feed all our needs as a winter wear and some other things, we have to go for an alternative to produce some artificial wool like fabric. Acrylic is such a kind of artificial wool. We call it as fake fur. We call it as fake fur, my dear students. Acrylic it is, and generally it is made from coal. It is made from air, water, oil, and limestone. These are the source substances for making acrylic: coal, air, water, oil, as well as limestone. After mixing all these things, either by wet spinning or dry spinning, that means in the wet method or dry method, whatever it may be, it is spun. Spun means the fiber is prepared. After the spinning is over, the fibers are solidified by evaporation. So those fibers we obtain are actually called as acrylic fibers, and they will look like wool only. The wool obtained from the natural sources actually is quite expensive. That is why acrylic are relatively cheap. All winter wear what we use are nothing but acrylic items mostly. Socks materials, fleece, sportswear, and several craft yarns, upholstery, fabrics, and carpets. So many other things are made up of acrylic only. I suggest you all to read the textbook also in order to get a better score. So what is the capacity? What is the speciality of these synthetic fibers? And the synthetic fibers, my dear students, they absorb less water, and synthetic fibers dry at the fast rate. That is the speciality. So I hope you have understood this. And now let us go with the laundry label codes and polyester as well as resin identification codes, my dear students. Yes, students, these are the laundry label codes what we see on fabrics actually. If it is a fabric made up of 50% cotton and 50% acrylic, this is the symbol what we see, which indicates that the washing should be done in water containing temperature around 40 degrees centigrade. If it is the sign symbol what you see, it means that we should not bleach the fabric. This is the symbol representing do not bleach. And if a single dot is present at the iron symbol, that means we have to iron that fabric at low temperature. Cool ironing is suggested. And if it is the symbol shown on the fabric, it indicates do not tumble dry. That means drying in a laundry dryer by spinning that means by tumble dry is not preferable actually. And this is the symbol. If it is given, it indicates do not dry clean actually. And if the fabric is 98% cotton and 2% elastane lycra, this is the symbol what we see. It indicates washing can be done at 50 degrees centigrade in water, and this is known to you. And these three dots indicate hot ironing actually. If this is the symbol, it indicates tumble dry is allowed. And 100% polyester if is there, at 40 degrees centigrade the washing should be done. And this is the symbol indicates do not bleach, and this is known to you. And this symbol is also known to you, do not dry cleaning. And this one is known to you, it can be subjected for tumble dry. And if this is the symbol given, 100% nylon and the outer part and 100% polyester liner, if such fabric is there, this is the symbol that will be given, which indicates a hand wash is preferable for that fabric. And this is the symbol which is known to you, do not bleach, very low temperature ironing. And this indicates do not dry clean, and this indicates tumble dry. So this is just a little brief explanation about the laundry label clothes that are given on the fabrics actually. Next we shall go with the polyesters. Yes, students, let us go with the polyester. Polyester is the most commonly used synthetic fiber actually. Terylene is a kind of polyester. It actually do not get wrinkled. Polyester fabrics do not get wrinkled. The fabric remains crisp and easily washable. When you mix terylene, which is a kind of polyester with cotton, you get terrycot or terrycotton, we call it as. Terylene when mixed with wool, we will get terry wool. So the problem is that these synthetic fibers like nylon and the pure polyester as well as terylene, they easily catch fire. That is the problem. How this polyester is made means it is made by reacting terephthalic acid to dimethyl ether. I repeat, polyester is made by reacting terephthalic acid with dimethyl ether, and then the mixture is made to react with a dihydric alcohol. And the formula of these substances will be learned in higher classes. I repeat, polyester is made by reacting terephthalic acid with dimethyl ether and then with dihydric alcohol. This polyester obtained can be melted and then it can be spun. This is all about polyester. Now, various kind of PET bottles and plastic bottles, water bottles, etc., what we use in our day-to-day life, they contain some codes printed at the bottom of those bottles. These are those codes called as resin identification codes. A triangle will be given like this with the arrow marks. So in the triangle some numbers will be given. If the number 1 is given, it is called PET, PET, which is called as polyethylene terephthalate. And if 2 is the number given in that resin identification code, the 2 number indicates HDPE, what we call it as high density polyethylene. Whereas if 3 is the code given, it is the PVC, polyvinyl chloride. And 4 if is given, it is the LDPE called low density polyethylene. And if the symbol 5 is given, it is a polypropylene. Instead of that 6 if is given, it is a polystyrene. If the number 7 is given, it refers to others. Others means it is not specifically numbered. That means among 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, anything when combined together, they can form the 7th one, that is called as the others. These are the resin identification codes. And now we are going to learn about the plastics and the types of plastics and how the monomers are arranged in the plastics, my dear students. Yes, students, what is a plastic? Plastic is a polymer like many other synthetic fibers. In plastic also, the monomers are joined together to form that polymer. The arrangement of these monomers can be of two types in a plastic. The first type of arrangement of monomers is a linear arrangement where each monomer is joined like this linearly. This is the linear arrangement of monomers. And the second one is called cross-linked arrangement. This is the way how the cross-linked arrangement takes place. And the next two are thermoplastics as well as thermosetting plastics, students. Types of plastics these are. As a whole, there are two types of plastics. Examples of thermoplastics are PVC. Examples of thermosetting plastics are bakelite and melamine. Now let me explain what is meant by thermoplastic and what is meant by thermosetting plastic actually. These thermoplastics actually they will be softening on heating. They will soften on heating and once again they will harden on cooling. That means these kind of plastics will soften when heated and harden when cooled. Such ones are called thermoplastics. They can be molded into desired shapes actually. Coming to thermosetting plastics, once they are molded into other form, a particular form, they are not remoldable because a strong cross-linked arrangement is observed in thermosetting plastics like bakelite and melamine. Because of this strong cross-linked arrangement, once they are molded, they cannot be remolded by heating or any other method. They will be very hard actually. So, remolding is possible in case of thermoplastics and not possible in case of thermosetting plastics. Generally, bakelite is used in making telephone items and electric switches and kettles. as well as melamine. It is used in making TV cabinets, computer keyboards, etc., and various food eating plates, plastic plates, etc. They are melamine. They are made up of melamine. And PVC, polyvinyl chloride pipes, which can be molded into different shapes. They are made up of thermoplastics. Nowadays, the so-called PVC that is obtained actually is becoming non-moldable actually, and that means remolding is not possible in case of PVC nowadays. And another important thing is that the first plastic was prepared by a scientist called as Parkzine. So, based on his name, the first plastic is named as Parkzine itself. An ivory colored material prepared by him was named as Parkzine. The first plastic was prepared by the scientist Parkzine. Now we are going to learn about what is the impact of plastic on the environment, and what are the biodegradable and non-biodegradable substances, and how to follow the 4R principle to recover the plastic items and to create a balanced condition in the environment. Yes, students, materials based on their ability to be degraded when thrown outside, they are classified into two types: biodegradable and non-biodegradable ones. Peels of fruits, vegetables, and the leftover food items, waste paper, cotton cloth, all these are actually called as the biodegradable substances, whereas the plastic bags and plastic covers, plastic articles, actually they are non-biodegradable materials. For their disintegration, it takes years of time actually. That is why these plastic bags, when eaten by the cow and other animals, they will be accumulating in their intestines and cause damage to their health, and they may die also. These living things may die also because of the plastic covers. They cause severe and serious environmental pollution, my dear students. So usage of plastic must be stopped. For that purpose, 4R principle is suggested. What is this 4R principle means? 4 R's. R for reduce, R for reuse, R for recycle, and R for recover. Reduce means please try to use as less plastic as you can in your day-to-day life. Try to use very less plastic in our day-to-day life for our activities. So reduction of the usage of the plastic is reduce. Of course, though we use some amount of plastics items, try to reuse them. That means whenever we need to use the plastic materials, use the same material what we used before again and again, so that we have no need to go for a new one once again. That is called reuse. And the next one is recycle. Instead of throwing them outside, when we give these plastic items which we have already used to a vendor, definitely these will be taken to a recycling process where they will be reconverted once again instead of producing the new plastics, so that we can reduce the pollution. And the last R is recover. What is the meaning of recover? Means we have to create some awareness among the people, establishing how to convert this wastage, garbage, into the energy. That means how to convert the waste products into the energy forms. Regarding that, educating the people is very much necessary. So recovering the plastic things is very important. So reduce the usage, try to reuse, try to recycle, and try to recover. These are the 4 steps what we have to follow. That is called as the 4R principle. And for that purpose, the items, the plastic items which can be recycled, actually the recyclable materials are having a symbol called as universal recycling symbol. My dear students, let me show this in your textbook. It is here. This is the universal recyclable symbol, universal recycling symbol. Actually, this is the same triangle what we see in resin identification codes, where the number is given in the resin identification codes, but here in the universal recycling symbol, no number is given, my dear students. This is the symbol. When this symbol is seen on a material, plastic material, we can infer that it is a generic recyclable material. With this, the concept related to synthetic fibers and plastic is ended. Please read the textbook line to line thoroughly and prepare well, my dear students. Wish you all the best, and read the question and answers present in the material also. Done.